in the sheet and you can do it. And next thing is, as I said, check for normality. Okay, that's most important thing, you already noted down. Now to really rush, now we start with the two group differences. Now what do you mean by two group difference? Now we are not going to talk much. Okay. Now when you talk about two groups differences, whenever you have got two groups, we are going to work with this. So remember, whenever there are two group testing are there, the first thing should come to your mind is the t-test. But how many types of t-tests are there? You will be taught only two types in your graduation days or post-graduation or in coursework. But actually there are three types of t-tests. Independent samples t-test, paired samples t-test and one sample t-test. And if you are writing this, I don't expect you to write. If you write additional points over that, better. This PPT is given free, I don't charge. It will be given to already to the Santosh Naik sir, your coordinator is already passed on. It's in his WhatsApp. Definitely you get after, what you call, once you leave, you get a CD or I don't know whether he will pass on. This entire PowerPoint presentations are given, three are given. One I have given as a bonus, descriptive statistics, okay, that will be not taught much here, but there's a bonus PPT. So that it's good for the beginners. So now, t-test, two groups difference, back to the same thing, two groups. But see the first one, independent samples. Earlier it was called as student t-test, unpaired samples t-test or two samples t-test, four names for a single test. But the latest nomenclature is independent samples t-test. Two groups drawn randomly from the population and you try to establish a mean difference. Two groups are randomly drawn and you try to establish a mean difference. For example, study of what you call two districts, Mysore district versus Coorg district. Okay, land usage pattern. Anybody is from geography? No? Commerce. Study of private sector versus public sector. Two groups randomly drawn. Try to establish a mean difference. Fine. Attitude towards Stri Shakti Yojana, a comparative study between Coorg and Mysore. Coorg people may not have much of positive opinion because they don't, what you call, less population, less travel. Mysore, they are highly positive attitude or favorable attitude. Why? All the time, I nowadays see, they are most of the times they are in the bus. Okay. Because we find it difficult once in a while to get into bus. That's also a personal experience. And more than that, inside they also fight. Huh? Now men are becoming silent. I don't know how many of you experienced that. Now whatever it may be, that's the second part of it. So two groups drawn randomly. Now why independent? Two groups are drawn independently. Why student t-test? A person who named it. Why unpaired? Numbers be same or different in both the groups. There is no rule that both groups should have same number. And why two samples? There are two different samples. But there is somewhere down I have written something else. What is that? That means t-test comes with the rider. What is that? T-test has to be employed only when n is 30 or less. Make a note. When the sample size is 30 or less, then we apply a t-test. Otherwise, usually we employ a z-test with a minor variation. So that's called as z-test. Now next comes the paired samples. What do you mean by paired samples here? Single sample exposed twice, either simultaneously or successively. What do you mean by, what do you call, the best example is a study of, what do you call, Annabhagya Yojana, before and after the implementation. So before you implement Annabhagya, what is the socio-economic status? Same sample is seen after 6 months of Annabhagya Yojana. What is SES? Now, same pre-test and the post-test, in between there is an intervention program. So you can find out the effectiveness of that intervention program by using the paired samples t-test. Are you getting it? So, it is basically effectiveness of training. We can measure your research skills before the workshop and after the workshop. 7 days of workshop, how much effective it is. This can be done through a paired samples t-test. Then comes one sample t-test. So suddenly we are talking about two groups, suddenly we come to know one sample t-test, which is never heard of much. Even in books they don't highlight this. But remember, in one sample t-test, this can act as a very good statistics for you, where you are going to check your group mean against a standard mean. So I'll give a simple example. If you go to a doctor, I don't expect you to go to a doctor. So what's the first thing he do or he does? First thing. ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಫಸ್ಟಿಗೆ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲಿಂಗ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಬಂದರೆ, ಸೈಕಾಲಜಿಸ್ಟ್ ಹತ್ರ ಬಂದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ನೀವು ಹೋಗ್ತೀರಾ, ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಇದೆ, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸಮ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್, ದಟ್ಸ್ ವೈ ಯು ಗೋ. ಸೊ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಈಸ್ ಹಿ ಈಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಫೀಲ್ ಯುವರ್ pulse. Later maybe pulse, that's a different thing. But first is the pulse. And after the pulse, he will have one of the two decisions. What are these two? One of the two decisions? You are okay or not okay. But who is telling this? You are okay or you are not okay? How the doctor decided that the person is okay or not okay? Huh? Doctor ಯಾಕೆ ಬೇಕದಕ್ಕೆ? ನೀವೇ ಆಗಲ್ವಾ? Why doctor is required? What doctor did in a way, he measured with the standard, because the standard comes with the 70-70, it is a normal pulse per minute, and he compared whether his pulse rate is above that. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಲೋ ಬಿ ಪಿನೂ ಇದೆ, ಹೈ ಬಿ ಪಿನೂ ಇದೆ, ಲೋ ಪಲ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಹೈ ಪಲ್ಸು ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಹಿ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಮೆಷರ್ಡ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಅ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಯುವರ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಮೀನ್ with the existing standard, then it's called as one sample t-test. Here doctor will not have a healthy person all the time to verify. There is a problem, because this is normal, no? He will not do that. Most of your medical parameters, if you go for again I request not to go unless you are forced to go, okay, lipid profiles, they draw 5 ml blood, and you have a set of series of values, LDL, VLDL, whatever it may be, okay, TCL, triglycerides, everything, including what you call HB, everything, and in the bracket also there are values, and in the down there is a impression, hyperlipidemia, hypolipidemia, normal. Now what pathologist has not done anything, it is the computer has compared your values with the existing standards. Now that same analogy in statistics also called as one sample t-test. So you compare your group mean with the existing standard, or in commerce you can only fix your standards and check whether it is reaching the standard or not. So are you clear about three types? One is two groups independent, one is one group pre-post, simultaneous or successive, and then a single group but compare with another standard which comes from the large group. Are you clear? So one of these things, if there are more than two groups, what you do? Then automatically you get into ANOVA. So once you talk about ANOVA, the full form is analysis of variance, which is the extension of independent samples t-test. Is the extension of independent samples t-test, where in t-test you measure only two groups, here you measure more than two groups, so but minimum of 3 groups. So in fact you can avoid multiple t-tests. How? Suppose you have 3 groups, suppose you have got 3 groups, A or government sector, private sector, semi-government. So by t-test you have to do G2P, P2S and G2S. 3 times you have to do independent samples t-test. This can be avoided by simply using one-way ANOVA. Anyway, there's a beautiful history behind one-way ANOVA, where ANOVA concept has not come from mathematics, not come from engineering, not come from computer science. Surprisingly, entire concept of ANOVA come from agriculture. Read the history, that's nice history, where F test is nothing but Fisher's value, because Ronald Fisher was invented this particular method, and those days it was meant only for agriculture, but nowadays ANOVA is used everywhere in all the sciences. Now, ANOVA is so famous. Why? Because it takes each value into consideration and go back to that variance. You analyze the variance, and because of that, more than two groups you are using, then it becomes one-way ANOVA. So that means what? In one-way ANOVA, you have one independent variable versus one dependent variable. You have one IV and one DV. What is IV? Split into minimum, government, private and semi-government. DV, what you measure? Maybe performance. So dependent variable is what you measure, and independent variable is where you have no control, they are fixed variables. So now you can have one-way ANOVA. Next we go to univariate ANOVA. What is univariate ANOVA? You have more than one independent variable, but dependent variable is still same. So now you have performance 1 dV, you can go to, this is same, here you have got GPS. Now I further split into male female and male female. So now what you have done? Two-way ANOVA. Why two-way ANOVA? Your independent variable is split into, two independent variables split into different levels. First independent variable split into 3 levels. What is that? Government, private and semi-government. Second independent variable split by gender, male and female. So now your research design would be 3 into 2. You must have seen some of the articles, the research design in the present study is 3 by 2. That means what? First variable is split into 3 times or 3 levels, and second variable split into 2 levels, making a design by 3 by 2. Sometimes it could be 4 by 2 or 3 by 3, depends on the your design. Now it can be continued like 3-way, 4-way, 5-way, depends upon, and you have to look into that. Then multivariate ANOVA, or the short form is MANOVA. Multivariate ANOVA, short form is MANOVA. Instead of ANOVA, you add M, that becomes MANOVA. So now what is the meaning of MANOVA? All the time so far we talked about one or more independent variable, but till univariate we spoke about only one dependent variable. In MANOVA what we do is several IVs, several independent variables versus several DVs. This is more important. Now number of dependent variables are being increased, that is called as MANOVA. Now multivariate or univariate is based on the number of variables employed, especially dependent. Univariate single dependent, multivariate several dependent. But remember, please make a note, if you are using MANOVA, make a note, if you are using MANOVA, you have to invariably mention an index called as Wilks lambda. You have to invariably mention an index called as Wilks lambda. Suppose in an article you have said you have done MANOVA, and if you don't mention Wilks lambda, that means you are caught. So you have to mention Wilks lambda as as one of the index, which gives overall effect of all the independent variables over the selected dependent variables. Are you getting it? Suppose we have one independent variable as government, private and semi-government, second one gender, third could be age, okay, young age, old age, these are all independent. But in dependent you have measured performance, you have measured job satisfaction, you have measured aptitude, all this will be DV. So combined effect of these three independent variables over the selected dependent variables is given by a single index called as Wilks lambda. So whenever you use MANOVA, see to that you are giving what you call Wilks lambda as what you call a reference value. Then comes another one, repeated measure ANOVA. ಬೈಬೇಡಿ ಏನೇನೋ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ. It is called as RM ANOVA. This is ANOVA, this is univariate ANOVA, this is MANOVA, this is RM ANOVA, not RM ANOVA. Okay, RM, repeated measures ANOVA. So remember extension, remember paired samples t-test, we had pre-test and we had post-test. Now if you add follow-up, so how many times the same measurement has come? 3 times. Pre-test, post-test and follow-up. So if you have same measurement 3 times, instead of doing multiple paired samples t-test, only once you can do repeated measure ANOVA and see the effect. Are you clear? There is one more. ANCOVA. It was ANOVA, in between C is added now. ANCOVA, analysis of covariance. Analysis of covariance. So I'll give an example, then you understand why these things have to be applied. So admissions in KSOU over the years. So what is your generalization? Admission in thousands, okay. What is your generalization? What is your generalization by looking at the graph? You want to publish a paper. From 2000 we have got admission records, for example, okay.
14, 16, it is increasing. 2017 it is at the top, again decreasing 2018 and 2020. So 2022 again it is increasing. Am I right?
Huh? Now, remember a process or an action. Many times we get confused here, already she has the answer. So sometimes what happens, we get confused with the data. We get confused with the data. You say from what you call 18 onwards, there is a significant decrease in the admissions till 21, and afterwards, after 21, again there is an increase in the admissions. If you apply a simple statistics, yes, it is significant. A trend in admissions in KSOU, a decadal study, fine, works out better. You apply all the statistics or a trend analysis. But now the journal, if they are intelligent, the article comes back telling that you are missing something somewhere. So can you tell me what is that? You say there is a significant decrease and there is a later significant increase. The word significant has got lot of impact. What is that impact? Significance. Huh? So what you call, you are referring something very dangerous statement. Now, you are not what you call realized another variable called as confounding variable, or sometimes alternatively they use intervening variable. You know what is intervening variable? Or sometimes they use extraneous variable. Now there is an introduction of such variables in the year around 2021. What is that introduction of variable? COVID-19. If COVID-19 were to be not there, the things would have been much more going in the same trend line. But you cannot generalize now because you have a confounding factor. A confounding factor being corona or COVID-19 has reduced, otherwise they wouldn't have reduced so far. Now, in such cases, you cannot apply a simple statistics, you have to apply a statistics called as ANCOVA or analysis of covariance. Now, once you apply analysis of covariance, that will be balanced. So, even in your research, it can happen that without your knowledge, some variables might, what you call, influencing your results. So, once they influence the results, your outcome is very different and you have to give a different interpretation for that. Are you getting my point? So, this is where you have to be careful, identify if it, and if at all there in the beginning only you can eliminate, but even if it comes later, you should use another statistics rather than ANOVA, you should go for ANCOVA. Are you clear? Then, whenever there are confounding factors which alter the results, which your conclusion will be misleading for others. Now, you cannot say there is a significant increase up to 18, then decrease, again increase, but there is a reason behind.
It is frequent or it happens only once?
Once in a while, that's why it's called confounding factor. It's a confounding factor. Okay, I'll give another simple example. You are measuring stress among Israel people and Indian people. You know, Israel is very rich and it's very rich and they are highly intelligent people and they know how to manage their life very well. Population is only 85 lakhs, entire Israel, where a Karnataka population is around 7 crores now. Okay, it's half of Kerala. Okay, the entire Israel is half of Kerala. You have studied the stress and you found that Israelites are facing heavy stress compared to Indians. You send a paper to the journal. Journal says, what kind of finding you have given? Journal rejects your article. Can you tell me why now?
Now, as the war is going on, during this period, it may be true.
Now the confounding variable is
War.
war. You get the point now? Are you clear now? The same thing. Now, why this? Now understand this. Because otherwise, Israelites are very cool and they enjoy their life cool. And when the Gaza attacked, they were in a rave party on the Gaza Strip. I don't know how many of you know, on the border. On the border, they were dancing and all these people come and lifted them. That's a different thing. That kind of enjoyment they do. So, do you think they have got otherwise stress? No. So, otherwise Indians would have got more stress in a general comparison. Now the war is going on, of course they have to be stressed. Now understand what is the meaning and how to apply. In your research also this can happen. There could be confounding variables, try to control them. We are going very slow because now we have to really rush with the qualitative analysis, okay? Or we don't know whether we get time to do a qualitative analysis. Okay, come to post, otherwise anyway, PPT will be given. You can, any doubts, you can call me back, okay. Then comes post hoc test. Now remember, I said there is A to B, A to C and B to C. Your ANOVA says only there is a difference, but which of these pairs are different, that will be not shown. For example, you have A, B, C. You have comparisons A, B, AC and BC. ANOVA will not tell whether A to B is significant or A to C is significant or B to C is significant, mean differences. It tells there is a difference. But these differences at a minute level is being told by another set of statistics called as post hoc test. So the post hoc test serves as micro level testing, whereas F test acts as macro level testing. But remember, post hoc test to be done only when F test is significant or F value is significant, otherwise there is no use. That's one part. Then don't use these two, LSD and LSD even others don't use. You know what is LSD? Lysergic acid diethylamide, that's a drug. But here is not that, it's the least significant difference in statistics. So don't use these two, because LSD and DMRT or Duncan's multiple range test, some journals won't accept, because even for a small difference, it gives a significance. So usually you go for Bonferroni, Dunnett's or Tukey, such as there are several ones, you can use them. Now get to the parametric relationship, next second part 2 of our what you call testings, what you call relationship based tests. One is correlation, as you know. What is the maximum correlation one can obtain? What is the range of correlation? What is the range of correlation? The range of correlation starts with the -1, goes through 0, ends up at +1. So -1 is perfect negative, +1 is perfect positive, 0 is perfect no correlation. So anywhere and there could be positive correlation, there could be negative correlation, or there could be no correlation. But remember, there is nothing like strong positive or strong negative correlation. Recent statistics says either it is significant or not significant, or insignificant, highly significant or very highly significant. We cannot say low positive, strong positive, no, all those wordings have been now removed. So now the terminologies have been changed. So read some APA guidelines. American Psychological Association released the new guidelines how to interpret. Now manual 8 is there, the part of the portion is available in what you call in the net also. APA guidelines for writing a thesis, APA guidelines, okay, new volume, I think volume 8. It has gone so fast. Okay. Now come to the second part, partial correlation. Now you remember, and correlation we use this Pearson product moment, because we use the direct scores. Come to partial correlation, again we don't use much. Remember, whenever there are the existing relationship is being affected by the third factor, even in human life it happens, you have a relationship, but that existing relationship is affected by the third factor, then we cannot use the direct correlation, we have to use a partial correlation. When you think that relationship is being affected by third variable. Now there are what you call things where relationship can be affected by the third variable, you should be able to identify and quantify it. The best example is what you call, how many of you know Nutrivin? Nutrivin, which comes as a what you call a supplement in the TV as an ad, weight reducers. Suppose somebody is doing health management and they want to do what you call health reduction by diet plan. Okay, 90 days of treatment, diet plan, only nutrition, and they found that on an average 10 kgs of decrease, relatively okay, significant relationship, more the training, lesser what you call, everything is changed now, body weight reduced. Happy to what you call publish, but few of the participants come and complain, no sir, the reduction has not happened because of only your nutrition supplement, they were taking a powder which is supposed to reduce the body weight, Nutrivin. Now how to control this effect? Use partial correlation, because the relationship is now affected by another confounding factor called as Nutrivin. So same thing. Then regression, we have got two simple, what you call two types, simple and multiple. What is regression? Literal meaning is going back, but in statistics moving forward. So if correlation gives a mutual relationship between two or more variables, regression gives how much change would occur if x changes by 1 unit, what is the corresponding change in the y. That is the simple regression. If height is increased by 1 unit, what is the corresponding change in the weight? That is a simple regression. Whereas multiple regression, on a simple list one, nation's progress, I am asking for sociology people, a nation's progress is determined. What are the factors? Progress, you get GDP or whatever it may be. How it is being influenced? Sociologists or people here? Employment, okay. Education, infra, okay, population, health, okay, huh? PCI, okay, only this much, huh? Social security. So you have several such variables and you regress on GDP. Now it cannot be a simple regression, it is going to be multiple regression, telling that not all these variables contribute to GDP, only one or two will contribute majorly to GDP, and identify that and then work over it, applied research. When you talk about bicycle program or when this one, what you call, all that because of this, where you have seen regression and which are the major predictors. Now that leads to what you call this kind of analysis in quantitative form. Third set, non-parametric difference based tests. Now you go back to our original data which we started when we started our class. That is what? Males and females, how much? 20? Now you can apply a chi-square test. Whether males significantly outnumber females by applying a chi-square test. No t-test, no other test, no averages. That's why now it is becoming non-parametric. You got the idea? Because these are the frequencies and now you can apply a chi-square t-test. Now go to Mann-Whitney U-test. When you talk about Mann-Whitney U-test, remember independent samples t-test. Here Mann-Whitney U-test, counter, 2 samples. So there's independent samples, here it is Mann-Whitney U-test. I don't know, when I touch something it runs. Yeah, can you operate quickly? ಇದು ಯಾಕೆ ನೀವು ಬ್ಲೂಟೂತ್ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಟೂತ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಯಾಕೆ ತೆಗಿತೀರಾ, ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಇಟ್ಟರೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ವಾ? No, I'll try to operate. Wait a minute. Okay. I'm trying to operate. Okay, we are here. Mann-Whitney U-test, counter of independent samples t-test. 2 groups here, 2 groups here. Wilcoxon signed rank, paired samples t-test we use here. Here we are going to use in non-parametric side. Wilcoxon signed rank test. There we used one-way ANOVA, but here we are using Kruskal values one-way ANOVA. But remember the differences in parametric and non-parametric. So I will give a simple example how the same data is treated in the non-parametric form with the original data. See, this you can always read, whether qualitative or this one, but you should know always the process what is happening. Because sometimes we said when the data is not following normality, you have to do a counter non-parametric test. What exactly happens when you do a non-parametric test? The data conversion. Okay, suppose you have got a parametric data like this. This is the original data, but your Shapiro-Wilk test said it is not following the normality. Now it will not follow the normality. So automatically we have to switch over to some non-parametric test. So that means data should be converted. Remember in non-parametric what's going to happen is data will be either converted into ranks or signs. Original data will not be considered, the data will be converted into ranks. How it will be? 100 will be given a rank of 1 if it is ascending, this will be 2, this will be 3, this will be 4 and this will be 5, and this will be ignored in non-parametric data analysis. Now what happens? Actually, now you look into it. What is the difference? What is the difference? Have seen the difference? 100 to 90, 10 difference, 90 to 50, 40 difference, 50 to 49, only one difference. Then again comes 39 difference. Now see the difference here. Now this will be considered, not this, in non-parametrics. Are you getting the point? So the values have been crunched. So even for a difference of 1 also there is a difference of 1, and even for a difference of 40 also there is a difference of 1. So this is how the non-parametric part will be treated. So be careful while using. As I said, Kruskal values 1 ANOVA, and another problem in non-parametrics is they are called as a distribution free test. They don't follow any rules, but the problem is you don't have equal counter tests in non-parametrics compared to the parametrics. That's one of the demerit. Then come to what you call relationship based test. Remember rank difference. If you remember 1 minus 6 sigma d squared divided by n into n square minus 1, we assign the ranks. I think you have done it in your economics, or what you call when you have done quantitative techniques, QTs. That time you must have done rank 1, rank 2, rank 3, then taken the rank difference, then use the formula r is equal to 1 minus 6 sigma d squared divided by n into n square minus 1. Since you have used it as a rank, that becomes rank difference, but that comes under non-parametric side. Contingency coefficient is simply called as CC. That is basically for cross tabulations. For example, nowadays or in this class you have got male and female. We know it is 28 and 8. But suppose I can apply a statistics like this, Karnataka versus non-Karnataka. Okay, roughly I can tell, okay, say 20 and another 16, right? Okay, 16. Say 10 and 10. North Karnataka, oh, this one 28 means it is, oh, no Karnataka, it is 18. This will be 8, right? 10, 18, 28, 18, 8. Think that there are 46 people, okay. Now this is a cross tabulation. One is from gender, one is from the state of origin. Now, when you talk about that, you have 2 by 2 cross tabulation. Sometimes you get 3 by 3, sometimes it is 4 by 4, sometimes it is 5 by 5. When number of rows are equal to number of columns, you should apply contingency coefficient test, and Cramer's is applied for any of the combination 2 by 3, 4 by 2. So these are the rules to be followed. Then important consideration, again I am reminding you, before testing any data, check for normality. Shapiro-Wilk or Kolmogorov-Smirnov. If the data is not following normality, apply non-parametric test. If the data is less, sometimes data would be less, you require minimum number. So, but if the data is very less, don't go for what you call taking a chance with the parametric test, because when you talk about amount of data is less, that means the data representation from the population could be less. So it may not be representing the true population. Better go for a non-parametric test. And if your data is less than 5, don't apply any statistics. If your data is less than 5, just by descriptive statistics, you summarize your findings, no hypothesis, if your data is less than 5. Come to significance levels, which is more important, where you are getting confused. So one is what you call significant at 0.05 level, then you got 0.01 level, and next will be 0.001 level, and accordingly they will be referred as significant, highly significant and very highly significant. These are the terminologies to be used in your research. Now my question is, what you meant by this significance? Can anyone elaborate on this? Can anyone elaborate on this? Significant, highly significant, very highly significant. What's the meaning of this? And there is non-significant. If it is 0.051 and above, non-significant. So can you tell me the meaning of this? Huh? What is the meaning of it?
Intensity of deviation, how much it has deviated from the previous trend.
Not previous study, you are coming very near but going far also. Anyone else? Because this is where it's very important to learn about significance. Can I make it very simple? So when you talk about 95% or 0.05 level of significance, the meaning is very simple. If you repeat the data collection or experiment 100 times, 95 times you are bound to get the same. Only 5 times you can miss. That is the minimum significance. That is the minimum significance. Even if it is 94 out of 100, we call it as non-significant. So in statistics, the pass criteria is not 35, it is 95. That is the severity in statistics. So it is the repeatability quotient should be 95 out of 100. 5 times you can miss. Even if it is 94 means what? It is not significant. Come to the next 0.01. 99% confidence or wordings also would change, highly significant. That means what? If you repeat 100 times, 99 times same result, 1 time you can miss. So that's why the wordings would change. Simply we started the significant, now it is highly significant. We go furthermore, very highly significant. If you repeat the experiment 1000 times, you are bound to get 999 times. Because I am restricting only to the textbook limitations, because textbook only gives up to only this much. Because software gives exact significance. Accordingly, we have to interpret. Now, verification hypothesis, whether I don't know whether I should tell you or not, but anyway, since we have started, I will just summarize. If you have formulated a null hypothesis and your results are significant, you have to reject the null hypothesis. The opposite is, if you have formulated a null hypothesis, alternate hypothesis or directional hypothesis, if your results are significant, you have to accept. The first one is approved format. The rule says maybe hypothesis formulation, maybe tomorrow or day after, when you form a null hypothesis, it is to be meant for rejection. Whenever you form a null hypothesis, it has to be, whenever you form an alternate or directional hypothesis, it has to be accepted. If something happens ulta, you are committing type 1 and type 2 technical errors, which will be more dealt, I think. So just remember type 1 and errors of research. So I given a what you call a rough sketch. So what are the tests to be applied and when? This will you can refer, it's a like ready reckoner for you, where you can check with this, okay, what is the test to be applied at parametric level or non-parametric level. You can just refer as a guide. Type 1 error and type 2 error, just summarize. False alarm or bogus effect. Suppose we are in the 5th floor here, suppose, and fire alarm starts. So what's the first job? You want to evacuate. We all go up, down, then our videographer says, come, it is just a false thing. There was no fire. But what is the reporting? There was fire. Type 1. Opposite is type 2. There was fire but no reporting. Type 2 error. Now remember, quite dangerous. Or it is like on a simple level, on a medical line, if an HIV patient goes to the diagnostic center, he doesn't have, but report says yes, he is HIV positive. Imagine the effect. In the second scenario, person has HIV, but the report says no. Now which is more dangerous, type 1 or type 2? In both the cases, whether it's a fire case or in HIV case, which is more dangerous? Type 2 errors are more dangerous than. So these are things which are going to be explained in what you call hypothesis chapters. Okay, this one. There is a type 3 error which is not technical in nature, which is from the researchers in nature. Don't feel bad. What is that? Lazy. You have to go to Coorg somewhere, Piriyapatna, inside village and collect the data. Who will go there? Give some money to the villager and collect the data. Incompetent. willful ignorance of the truth. You know, if I add this village data, entire result will become ulta. Bada. Reject. And sometimes data collection happens in the room. Guide us, I want to see your data. Tomorrow morning, sir, tomorrow morning data will be ready. That is what you mean by data will be ready. He said, tomorrow I will bring it. Whole night, the data collection happens inside the room with the different friends, with the liquor party and all. They have to tick with the different ink and different pen. And comes this much. And you say, sir, how difficult, to collect the data. You don't understand. Yes, the guide says, I can smell the kerosene smell because it's a very fresh data. And I think it's just done yesterday. I think must be done in the room. All this will be type 3 errors from the researcher side. So try to avoid all the type 1, type 2 and type 3 errors. Okay, these are we have talked about. Can we quickly go to what you call qualitative so that at least I can summarize. We have some more than half an hour. I'll try to summarize few things.
Sir, I've got a call from my department. I might have to leave in another 15 minutes.
Talk.
I might have to go from there.
Go.
Informing you before.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, it is not as complex as what you call quantitative analysis. You can read and understand. But anyway, I'll highlight what are the things are important. So now we are switching over to completely another way of interpreting the data, that is quantitative to qualitative, where absolutely no statistics. Absolutely no statistics. It is basically based on the experience of the researcher. So it's very general in nature and includes a range of methods and designs. So I will give a list of things. There are more, but I will give a list of things which are commonly and researchers are doing, especially sometimes it's referred as philosophical research because you have to derive, right? For example, Sri Ramayana Darshanam, okay, a critical study of psychological factors. So it is your subjective opinion. So that's where, but the major difference is in qualitative analysis, the details are more, but specificity is less. That is a major issue. Okay. Research questions are holistically made and with the focus on human experience. That's what I'm telling. What you feel about it. If I read, suppose one of your what you call analyzing, anybody from sociology, who is the major thinker in sociology? Huh? August Comte, right? So two people can have a different opinion on them. Or for example, those who are having an attitude of revolutionary attitude, his viewpoint of what you call, now we'll get to now India only. He may be more favorable in his writing towards, who is the person who fought for this one? Who is the person? Because suppose you want to compare Mahatma Gandhi and the Bose, Subhash Chandra Bose, who made his own army and all. Now, those who are revolutionists, their opinion may be very different towards Mahatma Gandhi, thinking that we didn't want the kind of independence by Hartal. Because we see how the Hartal is affecting today. For everything we go for strike. And who taught you? Mahatma Gandhi. But Mahatma Gandhi never said, for everything you go for a strike. Only for independence we go by peace. Shantiinda madana. Namge shantiindle swatantra barli. His viewpoint, where those who are followers of Mahatma Gandhi will have their own experience. Those who follow Bose or Subhash Chandra Bose, They are very much against. No, we wanted our independence by fight. So much so that we should go back to those museums and get our treasures back. You know how much treasures have been carried out? There's no account. There's no accountability that Indian treasures in terms of wood, in terms of gold, diamonds. Because whenever I was in London, I stayed in the inn, I said, this would be lost from India, not from definitely from UK, because UK is not even 1/10 of India, and where they can have a lot of wood, and it's all carried a lot back, because they cut all the jungles in the hills. Western Ghats, they converted into tea gardens, and all that wood has those days only gone to the UK, and they built inns and all, because they require wooden structure rather than these structures. Now, that is why, okay, it goes on human experience, people create meaning in their lives. In this class only, there could be people with the pro-Mahatma Gandhi attitude, and there could be pro-Subhash Chandra attitude. I don't want to ask, because I don't want to make a great mess here. Okay. Then, what is the, what you call, characteristic of a qualitative data? Because now we have to look into characteristics. There we are very specific. Data, parametric, non-parametric, what is statistics to be applied, all these things. But quickly we look into, what are the characteristics? Multiple sources of data. There is no single this one. Multiple, quality we checked that time. Multiple sources where you have a synthesis. That's what you do in qualitative analysis. You synthesize ultimately and come with your own experience. So that's called as multiple sources. Inductive data analysis. There are two types of what you call derivations. One is inductive and one is deductive. What is inductive? What is the funnel approach and what is the reverse funnel approach? What is the example for inductive approach and what is the example for deductive approach? Inductive is, as you said, inducing from particular to specific, no, general. Which one? Deductive? All human beings are mortal. So X is also mortal. How it has come? Deductive. Because you have seen the phenomena, no person has lived more than 150 or 130 years maximum. So any one day, any person has to die. Deductive. What is inductive? You have one finding and that finding can be generalized. Now, that's what happened with the what you call corona is partially what you call, you can say one person has got, many person might get. You get the point? It's not that many persons get, you also get. No. You get the point? So this is what the difference is. So what you call inductive data analysis. What is inductive? You go from particular to general. Go to next point. Emergent design. What is emergent? What is emergent? Something evolving. That is why qualitative research varies from individual to individual, because it is based on the subjective experience, and that is how you write. For example, what do you think about Israel-Hamas fight? How the reactions came from our own government. First, our central government said, no, we are with the Israelites. Opposite, Congress said, no, we are with the Palestine. After a few days, again government said, no, we are also with the Palestine. But we are not with the Hamas. You get the point? So this is meant what? You can change the opinion, and it can depend on how the other people also react. So that's where we call it as emergent design. Then theoretical lens, we start with the theory here. We start with the theory. What is the theory? For anything, why you have to be aggressive towards getting independence from British? I am still for what you call one argument, whatever British people have carried from India, they should give it back. I am still for it. Whether it's a treasures or whether it's anything, or they have to equally, the amount should come back. But how many people will do that? Vijay Mallya went and got the sword of Tippu Sultan with a big prize, and now he is in London and he is in sword is in India, whatever it may be. Now, whatever it may be, how he is living, but imagine the conditions. So, again, what you call the theoretical lens. I am into theory, we want all our treasures back. Imagine the amount of gold, amount of things went, still Kohinoor. This Kohinoor is only known, how many unknown things have been happened. And who is going to manage that? They looted. How many of you watched India's looted treasures? There is a serial. So look into that, you get to know. Then interpretative. So that's also more important. How do you interpret? I do interpret in my own way. We had afternoon food interpretation. Good, what do you call, okay, not good. Interpretation goes by different this one. Then holistic account. What is holistic? You see as a comprehensive approach, holistic model, where ultimately you try to fit in a single framework. That is called as holistic approach. Ultimately, what's the idea? We needed independence. We got it, but that is within that we will fight. But ultimately, our idea is to get independence. That is what you call if you are fighting for. Or why Manipur violence is still not stopped. You cannot have any statistics for that. You have to go for a qualitative. Congress blames BJP, BJP blames another one, and all that blame comes on the tribes. Okay, there are tribes fighting, they burn everything. Now, imagine the what you call how you interpret in a comprehensive plan. That is also more important, called as holistic account. Then how do we collect the data? This is more important. You say my study could be a qualitative one, okay. First is the qualitative observations. There is no frequency matters. What is qualitative observations? Field notes on the behavior and activities of the individuals. Suppose you want to study the tribals. Of course, your observation can be, what you call, accuracy can be increased by use of video cameras and all. But remember, once you are under the lens or video camera, all your behaviors will be changed. Think there is a camera, right? Okay. But the moment you think that you are under surveillance, you are very alert. Otherwise, oh, yaar nodli another ugly. But this is a different thing. But that is the difference which makes. So, whatever it may be, the idea would be here where qualitative observations, what are the things are this one? It could be structured or semi-structured. Okay. So, varying from a non-participant to a complete participant, how it will be done? Either you can sit behind and watch and take down the notes, an incident, or you can be participant with the group. And you don't know how many of the foreign researchers, they come and live in the tribal huts. They are like more of one of the members there, and they make lot of notes. So, they are of more of participants than what you call non-participants. Then analysis. So, this is a method we use, but how the analysis will be done? Organize and prepare the data for analysis. Now you have got several such notes, and how the notes will be done? Today if you do a notes for 8 to 9, tomorrow you are going to for 9 to 10, because there is a switch over. We call it as a time activity and based on your expertise. That is more important. Then read through all the data. Now you have got doubts? Read through all the data. That is more important, because to get a complete grip over your work, you have to start from beginning and till the end. And it is not just that much, you have to read several times, because each time while reading you might get different ideas. Those ideas has to be written separate. Again you read, again idea might change. So that is why read again, right, read, and then what are the common ideas have been formulated, that has to be written. Then comes coding. Okay, detailed answer with the coding. What is coding? The similar things to be grouped together. The similar things. ಊಟ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. They are the same. They are the same. So wordings could be different, but you can put under a similar category by giving a code. Several such codes would emerge. So and you can plan that way. So categorize, okay, and try to put in the actual language of the participants, not the researcher, because when it comes to the researcher, there could be a bias. So try to put it under the language category of the researcher, language category of the participant, not the researcher. So what is that coding is, why is we are highlighting coding more, because this is the crux of your what you call the qualitative research. That's why I am giving more importance to this. So when you talk about coding, first is get a sense of whole. You understand what exactly the idea or theme behind. Then read all the transcriptions carefully. You have several such transcriptions. Read one by one, because sometimes you may require help of a person with the tribal person only to get the help, because some words which they speak you may not understand, and you need to write. So the transcripts should be carefully read, and whenever you read something, as I said, you get some ideas, code them. Then pick one document or one interview, and the most interesting one, the shortest, the one the top of the pile, go through asking yourself, what is this about? Now you have got a lot of script with you, one interview or one event you have recorded, which you found very interesting. Now start what you call analyzing more, poking more on the thing, what is so, why it is so. Now comes the detailed ones. Then you subdivide the themes. That's also more important. The more you subdivide the themes, it's much interesting, because you get more details. So then find the more descriptive wording for topics. Now you have to select the code words, because you have grouped them, this one. Now you come with what you call, for example, marriage patterns in a particular tribal community. Now what all things are related in marriage patterns? How it starts? The preparation from the marriage till the end of the marriage, the marriage rituals. It can vary from one culture to another culture, but you are very specific about one tribe. So what are the things they have followed step by step? Now we can group together. Then make a final decision on the observation of each category and alphabetize this course. Now the thing is, now course have to be made in an alphabetic form. This is the technical of doing a qualitative analysis. That's why people are going away from the qualitative, because it's bit headache. So all those things, terms have to be now alphabetically has to be arranged. Then sometimes you get a confusion, okay, between categories. So what you have to do is go back again, redo the things same. More clarity would come. Otherwise what is going to happen? Analysis of dash work, Shakespeare's work in Indian context. You get 100 ideas. Somebody is from literature, or what you call sociological themes in Shakespearean drama. One can do it. Now how much issues and how many dramas you have to read? You don't have to go to Shakespeare. The dramas are available. Now how many themes you can generate? Now that's quite interesting, but do you have that much of capacity? Many times you have to go back and recode.
Coding is always given numbers, or is there another?
You can use the numbers or letters, A, B, A, C, or you can give 0, 1, 0, 2, or A1, A2, it depends upon your convenience rather than where it is depends on your convenience, that is more important. There are some charts are available, there are some way to do the coding is available, which is available in the net, you can check. Okay. Then now see what is your question. You use predetermined codes and then fit the data form. You have a predetermined code, then you see whatever you are reading can fit in here. So that's the idea. Then use some combination of predetermined emerging codes. That means what? Before you start coding, you should be well aware of what kinds of codes to be given. So better you have, like, no, again I don't want to confuse you. Now suppose you want to have review analysis or review review article, you have to follow some rules. Likewise coding also, there are some rules. Better maintain a code book so that you can always refer back. This code book is meant for this. Then you have what you call, in this you have complete details, and you can use even line numbers, all those things, so that you can directly look into the theme part of it. Then there is a general coding, you can read more, and this one, nowadays there are softwares are available. These softwares are called as intelligent software, where once you feed the script, they pick up the points. They pick up the points. I'll try to give you one example. Suppose a person has got few symptoms and identify the software to say which disease it is. Now based on the similarity and differences, it says it can be fever, it can be this one. The same way, now the computers have come with the predetermined softwares where you have to feed the details and computer can derive some information for you. They are called as intelligent softwares, which are in the line. AI is one of the artificial intelligence is one of the such software where it can what you call synthesize your information. ChatGPT, you just give the name and how fastly lines have come with all that. So that way also there are softwares are available. You can use the software for what you call even your quantitative analysis. You can read more. There are more this one. Okay. Then description, how it involves. Okay. So one code involves one description. Now
ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅಮ್ಮಗೆ ಆ ಮರದ ಒಂದು ಚಕ್ಕೆ ತೆಗೆದು ಅದನ್ನು ಬೇಯಿಸಿ ಅದು ಇಡೀ ದಿವಸ ಸ್ಮೆಲ್ ಹೋಗುದಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಕುಡಿದ್ರೆ ಬಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಬಾಡಿ. And few of the food practices in specific places. I don't know whether in Mysore side, go to this Malnad side, they have got weather-based foods. ಹಲಸಿನ ಹಣ್ಣು ಬಂದಾಗ ಬರೀ ಹಲಸಿನ ವೆರೈಟಿನೇ, ರೈಟ್? ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಲಸಿನ ಹಣ್ಣಿದೆ. ಯಾಕೆ? ದರ್ ಇಸ್ ಸಮ್ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಯಾವ ಸೀಸನ್ ಯಾವುದು ತಿನ್ಬೇಕು ಅದು ಅದನ್ನು ಪ್ರೂವಿಂಗ್ ಇದೆ. ನೀವು ಏನು ಬಿದಿರಿನ ಚೂರು ತಿಂದ್ರೆ ಹಾಗೆ ತಿನ್ನುವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಸರು ಕಾಳನ್ನು ಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಯೇ ತಿನ್ಬೇಕು. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಇದು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಹೀಟ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಹೀಟ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಕಾಂಪ್ರಮೈಸಿಂಗ್ ಮೆಕ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್. ಹಾಗಂತ ನೀವು ವಾಟರ್ ಮೆಲನ್ ಜ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಳೆಗಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಕುಡಿಯುವಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ವಾಟರ್ ಮೆಲನ್ ಏನಿದ್ರು ಮೆಂಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಸಮ್ಮರ್, ಬಟ್ ನಾವೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, 12 months ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಮೈಸೂರಲ್ಲಿ. ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದಾಗ ವಾಟರ್ ಮೆಲನ್ ಕುಡಿತೀವಿ, ತಪ್ಪು. It has to be taken only during summer season. ನಿಂಬೆಹಣ್ಣು ಕುಡಿಬೇಕಾಗಿರುವುದೇ ಸಮ್ಮರ್ ಸೀಸನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೋಡಾ ಸರ್ಬತ್ ಕೇಳಿದಿರ? ಅದು ಇದೆ. ಓಕೆ, all that will be season based, weather based foods are where there. ಬಟ್ ಈಗ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಮಂಗಳೂರು ಕಡೆಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಈಗಲೂ ವಾಡಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ಮಧ್ಯಾಹ್ನ ಗಂಜಿನೇ. That's a ritual. That's a part. If you do a quality analysis, it is required. Why? Because you sweat a lot. So you require rice ganji. Come to Mysore or what do you call Mandya side, ragi balls. This size ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದನ್ನು ನಾವು ತಿನ್ನೋದು. ಮಂಡ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಸೈಜ್, ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದೆರಡು, ಮಧ್ಯಾಹ್ನ ಒಂದೆರಡು, ರಾತ್ರಿ ಒಂದೆರಡು. And it will be digested. Yes, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ರಾಗಿನೇ ಬೇಕು, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಗಂಜಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ಆಗಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರು. ಯಾಕೆ? ಸ್ಟೇಪಲ್ ಫುಡ್. ಧಾರವಾಡ ಗುಲ್ಬರ್ಗ ಕಡೆ ಬರ್ತೀರಾ, ನಾರ್ತ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದವರು ಜೋಳ ರೊಟ್ಟಿನೇ ಬೇಕು. ಕಡಕ್ ರೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಖುಷಿ. ಎಲ್ಲ ತಟ್ಟು ಆಗತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ಲ ತಟ್ಟಬೇಕು. ತಂದಿರ ರೊಟ್ಟಿ ತಂದಿದ್ದೀರ? ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಆ ಕಡೆ 100 ರೊಟ್ಟಿ ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ zero fat. That's why they look like this. That Jawar rotis are got 0 fat. I don't know whether you tasted whether it's kadak roti or fresh rotis, 0 fat. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಎತ್ತರ ನಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ, ಎಷ್ಟು ದೂರ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟು ಕಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋದ್ರೆ ರೊಟ್ಟಿ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಚಟ್ನಿ ಪುಡಿ ಕಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋದ್ರೆ 10 ದಿವಸ ಏನು ಬೇಡ ಅವರಿಗೆ, ನೀರು ಒಂದಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಹೌ ದೇ ಲಿವ್ ದ ಲೈಫ್. ನೀವು ಸ್ಟ್ರೈಕ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ನೋಡಿ, ನಾವು ಯಾವ ಫುಡ್ ಬೇಡ, ರೊಟ್ಟಿ ರೆಡಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್, ಕಡಕ್ ರೊಟ್ಟಿ. Now, can you do a qualitative analysis on the food habits? Now comes what you call description and themes will be represented in qualitative narrative. Yes, you can do that. You can do a cultural variation, weather-based, season-based, food variability among different what you call segments of Karnataka. You can do it. ಇನ್ನು ಕೆಲವರು ನಿತ್ಯ ಗಂಜಿಯನ್ನು ಬೆಳೆಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. Rice bath, misal bath, tomato bath, because Mysore is known for baths. Okay. Ultimately, you are it. Ultimately, ಏನಿಲ್ಲ mixed vegetable bath. Okay. ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಹಾಕಿ ಅದೊಂದು bath. Okay. ಏನಿಲ್ಲ ಬರೀ ಇದು ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ he rice. So whatever it may be, the idea here is what? Food, this one. Now, depends on this one. Entire portion area if you go through, it's rice ganji even now. And that's what is not meaning. And why that what you call the qualitative narrative should come? What is the use of it? ನಿಜವಾದ ಗಂಜಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಊಟ ಮಾಡಿದಿರ? ಆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕಲ್ಲಲ್ಲಿ ಕುಟ್ಟಿ ತಗೊಳ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಭತ್ತವನ್ನು ಬೇಯಿಸಿ 2 ಸರಿ ಬೇಯಿಸಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಡ್ರೈ ಮಾಡಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಕುಟ್ಟಿ ತೆಗಿತಾ ಇದೆ. That ganji is supposed to be the best ganji and ಒಳ್ಳೆ ನ್ಯೂಟ್ರಿಷನ್. ಈಗ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, 14 ಮೆಷಿನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಆ ನ್ಯೂಟ್ರಿಷನ್ ಟಿಪ್ಪೆ ಹೊರಟೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ? ದನಗಳಿಗೆ, ತೌಡಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಈಗ ಜನ ವಾಪಸ್ ತೌಡು ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದ್ರ ಜ್ಯೂಸ್ ಕುಡಿಯೋಕೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಥಿಂಗ್. ತೌಡು ಜ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮುಂಚೆ ರಾಗಿ ಅಂತ ತಿಂದಿದ್ದು ಪುವರ್ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ಸ್ ಫುಡ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ನಾವು ರಾಗಿ ಬಿಕಮ್ಸ್ ರಿಚ್ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ಸ್ ಫುಡ್. ಸೀದಾ ದ ರಾಡಿಕಲ್ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್. ಈಗ ಹಳ್ಳಿಯವ್ರು ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಟ್ರು. ಏನ್ ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ? ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಪಿಜ್ಜಾ ಇದೆ, ಬರ್ಗರ್ ಇದೆ, ಬ್ರೆಡ್ ಇದೆ. ಸಿಟಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಅವನು ಕೇಳಿ ಏನಿದೆ? ಇದೇ ಸಾಕಪ್ಪ. ರಾಗಿ ಮಾಡೋದು, ರಾಗಿ ಅಮೂಲಿ ಮಿಲೆಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಅವ್ರೇನಿಲ್ಲ, there is a change. So you can have a quality analysis, variations. So all those things can be put under this. Then making an interpretation and meaning of the data. This is the final thing where you have to go for such detailed one. Now to do interpretation, you can have a thing. Why You were in what you call question to eat. Doctor also was question to eat ragi ganji, rice ganji, morning ganji, night ganji, ಅದೇ ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲ ಅದೇ ಗಂಜಿಯನ್ನು ಒಂದು ಇಷ್ಟರ ಮಡಿಕೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ಅದೇ ಗಂಜಿ, ಮಧ್ಯಾಹ್ನ ಅದೇ ಗಂಜಿ, ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲ ಗಂಜಿಯನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಆಕಳಿಗೆ ಅಕ್ಕಚ್ಚಿ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಅದೇ ರೈಸ್ ಹಾಕೋದು, ಆ ರೈಸ್ ಸಾಂಬಾರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಊಟ ಮುಗೀತು. ದಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ದ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಅರ್ಲಿಯರ್. ಈಗ ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ಮನೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಎರಡೆರಡು ಬ್ರೇಕ್ಫಾಸ್ಟ್, ಚಿಕ್ಕವನಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಬ್ರೇಕ್ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ದೊಡ್ಡವನಿಗೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಬ್ರೇಕ್ಫಾಸ್ಟ್, ಆಯ್ತಾ, ಅಪ್ಪನಿಗೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಬ್ರೇಕ್ಫಾಸ್ಟ್, ಎಲ್ಲ ಉಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದು ಮತ್ತೆ ಹಿಂಗಡೆ ಮನೆ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಡೇ ಉಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದು ತಾಯಿಗೆ. Now, change of what you call food habits. You can do research, a sociological study. Okay, change of food habits over generations. ನೀವು ತಿಂದಷ್ಟು ಸ್ಟೇಬಲ್ ಫುಡ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ತಿಂತಾರಾ? ಸಾಧ್ಯನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ರಾಗಿ ತಿಂದ್ರು ಸರಿ, ರೋಟಿ ತಿಂದ್ರು ಸರಿ, ಅನ್ನ ತಿಂದ್ರು ಸರಿ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಏನು ಬೇಕು? ಪಿಜ್ಜಾನೇ ಬೇಕು, KFCನೇ ಬೇಕು, ಬರ್ಗರೇ ಬೇಕು, ಅದು ಏನಿಲ್ವ ಪಾನಿಪುರಿನೇ ಬೇಕು. ಆ ರೋಡ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ ನೂಡಲ್ಸ್ ಅದೇ ಬೇಕು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಗೋಬಿ ಮಂಚೂರಿ, ಗೋಬಿಗಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದನ್ನು ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಸಾಸ್, ನಾಟ್ ಒರಿಜಿನಲ್ ಸಾಸ್. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ 10 ರೂಪಾಯಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಬಾಟಲ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ಇವರು ಅರ್ಧ ಬಾಟಲ್ ಹಾಕ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವ್ನು ಇಷ್ಟು ಬಾಟಲ್ ಇಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾನೆ, ಸರ್ ಎಷ್ಟಾಗ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್. ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ಇಟ್ ಮೇಬಿ? Change in the food habits can have a lot of impact. One can do that. So there are several things. Then content analysis, but what's the time? I just what are the things? Okay. Your quantitative analysis can be followed by these are the approaches. ಯಾವುದೆಲ್ಲ ಇದು ನಾನು ಒಂದೊಂದು ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. One is ethnography, then is phenomenology, not phenomenology. Then grounded theory, case studies, positive event approach, ಇವರನ್ನ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. Here a full form ಇದೆ, participatory action research. Quick ಒಂದೊಂದನ್ನೇ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ethnography ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. People in natural occurring settings or fields by methods of data collection. ethnography, ethology ಕೇಳಿದಿರಲ್ಲ? Have heard of ethology? Where we study the animals in their own named environment, not in the zoo. Here like we study people in their named environment. So that is one form of qualitative analysis approach. You go to their place and study. That is called as ethnography. You study their ethnicity. You don't bring them to the lab. You go to their place and study. Okay, all their activities and all. Okay, then their social life and culture in a particular social system. The social system and all. I said marriage patterns because and add to genetics also. When what you call heterogeneity and homogeneity within a population, if marriage happens, what would be the mortality rate? If between the populations, if the marriages happen, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕೆಲವು ಸರಿ ಒಂದೇ ಹಾಡಿಯೊಳಗೆ ಮದುವೆ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ, ಒಂದು ಹಾಡಿಗೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಹಾಡಿಗೆ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ತಗೋತಾರೆ. ಗೊತ್ತಾ ನಿಮಗೆ? ಯಾರು ನೋ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಜೆನೆಟಿಕ್ಸ್, ಬಟ್ ಯಾರು ಮಟ್ಟೆ ಸೈಡ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಮಟ್ಟೆ ಕಡೆ ಸರ್ ಈಗಲೂ ಅಕ್ಕನ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಮದುವೆ ಅಭ್ಯಾಸ ಇದೆ, ಈಗ ಟ್ರೆಡಿಷನ್ ಇದೆ, ಈಗ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಇವ್ರು ಎಂಗೇಜ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಮಗಳು ಹುಟ್ಟಿದಾಗಲೇ ಇವ್ರ ತಮ್ಮನ ಹತ್ರ ಕೊಡ್ತಾನೆ ನಿಂತಿದ್ರು. ಈಗ ಅವ್ರು ಅಷ್ಟು ಒಪ್ಪಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಯಾಕೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಅವನ ಮದುವೆ ಆಗಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಮುಂಚೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿ ಮಗು ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ ಕೂಡೇನು ಇದು ನನ್ನ ತಮ್ಮನಿಗೆ ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಲೇಟರ್ ದ ನ್ಯೂ it has its own genetic implications because the gene sharing is not 50-50, more of homogeneous genes than heterogeneous genes. ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಮಗುವಿಗೆ. So now the habits or the rituals have been changed. So one study in Mandya is what you call ethnography. Kerala, there is a place in one village only, there are 250 twins are there. What a kind of study you can do, twin studies. But you have to go to their place and study. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಟ್ವಿನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರೋದಲ್ಲ, ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. Okay, so you read more on how to improve. Okay, then phenomenology. ನೋಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ನೋಡಬಹುದು, ನೋಡಿಲ್ಲ. You all seen Kantara. You know how much phenomenology is being studied? What is the basic phenomenology studied in the movie Kantara? Not about Bhuta, Bhuta the Kola, no. That is just given as one of the movement to the, what you call, this one. It is basically how the rich people took the advantage of people who are under them working, including the forest officials, how they misuse. ಕಾಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದೇ ಕಡೆ ಬರೋಣ. ಅದು ಕಮಲ ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ರು, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಓಡ್ದ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಖುಷಿ ಆಯ್ತು ನಮಗೆ, ಮ್ಯೂಸಿಕ್ಕು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿತ್ತು. But what was the ultimate thing? It was nothing but phenomenology where they were called as slaves. So somebody wanted to loot their land which is given to them. So the Jamindar or the Patel, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರು. So that is typical example of phenomenology. One incident happens and there such incidents have happened, it's not the first time. So they brought it to picturization and that is called as a typical phenomenon event. Or suddenly, I've heard of Banamati. What is Banamati? ಎಲ್ಲ ಹುಚ್ಚಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಆಡೋದು, ಒಬ್ಬರಲ್ಲ, ಎಂಟೈರ್ ಮಾಸ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. That's becoming an event. Now you can have a case study over it, like why it is happening. How many of you know Chandragupti incidents? It's a phenomenology. Why? Because ಯಾಕೆ ಚಂದ್ರಗುಪ್ತಿ ಒಂದೇ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿಗೆ ಯಾಕೆ ರೆಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು? Why only from the lower strata? Why not from the upper strata? ಈ ಬಡವರ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಯಾಕೆ ಬೇರೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಓಡಿಸಬೇಕು? ಯಾಕೆ ಶ್ರೀಮಂತರ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಓಡಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? Phenomenology. Why? Now you can study more in-depth history behind it. That becomes a phenomenology. The shares and all, okay? On a simple level, the topic can run on this one. Loss of partner due to COVID-19. It's an incident and you can study the effects. What is the phenomenon? COVID-19. And what is the effect? Death of a spouse. And this can have a lot of impact on the other side. Now this is where there are list of things where you can do this one. Okay? Cancer, especially females and breast cancer, just suppose they come to that they have a cancer. You can study their entire history and what is happening to them. Yes, phenomenology. Grounded theory. Next, inductive method. Inductive method. What is the inductive method? From particular to general. Okay. Generational theory is that is grounded in and remains connected to the data. This is more important. Theory emerges from the data. New data collect ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, from that the theory emerges. So that is called as grounded theory. More is there. Okay, actually examples for this not noted. Case studies I don't want to explain. Case studies means you take the entire part as one entire unit and you study in depth. So this is not now. What we call case study of Chamarajanagar district, a case study of Dakshina Kannada district, comparison of case studies of Dakshina Kannada versus Uttara Kannada. That means what? You take the entire unit or entire thing together and then study. So in such cases called as case study. This is very common study you do, where again more descriptions are given than the numbers. Positive event approach in qualitative analysis is obvious that every community or organization that a few individuals are groups of uncommon. This is positive but deviant. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಒಂದೇ ಥರ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಕೆಲವರು ಮಾತ್ರ ವಿಚಿತ್ರ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, but they are good, they are doing good. You study them. That's called as positive event. ಯಾರು ಕೆಟ್ಟವರು ಅವರು ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡೋದು. It happens in a community or in a culture. Somebody is doing very good extra job which is not seen by others. So again, you feel interested why this is happening. For example, one of the thing is, I don't know how many of you know Siddhis. Siddhi community. Kelvaru on the border, Kelvaru matra famous are. That is a positive event approach because there is a long, there is a history behind them and how much is true that few of them have got a origin from West Indies. They are brought up as slaves and they are spread in India and and they are called as Sindhis, and they look exactly like blacks. But now, why not all the Sindhis are like our what you call Ben Johnson or something, or racers? Only one or two emerge. That is positive deviant approach. Likewise, there could be anyone. Because you see, blacks are very good in running, and Ben Johnson is one of the favorite of mine, 9.8 seconds in what you call 100 meters, 9.8 seconds, of course, controversial. 10 meters, 1 second in the moon, that is something really what you call admirable. 100 meters, 9.8 seconds, that's really what you call the speed. Whatever it may be, you study that. So you study them from various purposes, what is positive deviant concept. Okay, the methodologies are defined, determine, discover and design. When to use the PD approach. Okay, what exactly happens in PD approach? How are we going to research? The approach is positive, so how the questions will be there? If you attention asks what is wrong, in positive you will ask what is right. You are becoming positive here itself. Then, what are your needs or what is working there? Something going very different than what you decide. What can we provide or what are your resources? Against that, what is lacking in your community? What can we build upon? Where you think the negative way of it, making it positive. Negative of negative will be positive. Then what is missing here? What is available there? It's a thing like, rather than you are telling half cup is empty, why not half cup is full? Right? Huh? Rather than what is the positive approach? You say the cup is half, only half, it is half empty, make it half full. So you are looking at from other way. Then what are your weaknesses? Rather than asking that, what are your strengths? See how the what you call positive deviant approach in qualitative analysis has got its own impact. Then here is the full form is participatory ethnographic evaluation and research. Make a full note of it. PA. That is participatory ethnographic evaluation and research. Okay. Now what happens where you have to be given training and you have to be, what you call give in-depth or take in-depth interviews. So these in-depth interviews will have their own impacts. That's why participatory ethnography, you know what is ethnography? Study the community in their own setting, train them and get back to them and study them back. Then what you call, rather than asking for personal information, you ask what you call, say or do in relation to the particular issues, not the personal information. Their issues are important, not the person. That is more important. So here you can continue their advantages. Then there is a PAR, one is PER and there is a PAR, participatory action research. So when you talk about action research, what is the idea is that putting research facilities in the hands of the deprived and this enhances people so that they can transform their lives for themselves. Simple idea. Those who think that deprived, you directly give them. But sometimes it could be a problem, but I'm talking from the research point of view. Where you can give what you call research capacities to the hands of the deprived ones. And ask them to do a research and get the findings. Then we can have this one. So that's called as participant action research, where the participant himself is doing research. Then giving the feedback. Then it involves systematic cyclical method of planning, because you keep on planning what next, what next, what next. Then taking action, observing, evaluating, and critical reflection prior to planning to the next cycle. Then in the progress, you have to know what is negative is happening, so you have to keep on evaluating before you go to the next level of action. So these are going to be used, and this will be used more with the NGO side. How many of you know NGOs use this more approach? Okay, because NGOs connect with the local people and then they give. It is like whatever by research here, research could be in agriculture. Or ಏನೊಂದು crude farm agriculture ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. Now NGOs will go and tell this is how you have to do. But NGOs will not go into the agriculture. You get the point? Now NGOs teach them to do how to do the agriculture, and now they will have a what you call review over it, where participants' action is more important. This kind of agriculture is not good, or this kind of practice is not good, cultural ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ especially tribal people, they have got some practices which they think is good, sometimes it's not good. So you can change it by this. Okay. There are many things you can read later. There is a characteristics also. Action research, why it's used, advantages. Then these are being discussed in detail. There are other approaches also. What are those? See the first one, rapid assessment process. What is rapid assessment? In quick session, you are going to assess this called as RAP, one of the parameters is rapid one. Then rapid rural appraisal. If it is done in a rural appraisal, you have given minimum time, but you have to collect the data and you have to give the report immediately. It happens sometimes. Government sends circular. You have to immediately go and collect. So that is at a rural area. Then participatory rural appraisal, where participants are involved from their place only. Then critical incident technique. What is critical incident? Something which has happened. Critical, some deaths or some negatives. So these are the critical things. It could be an earthquake. So how quickly you give the report? But in a quantitative form rather than in a quantitative form. Then there are reflective photography, photo voices, community-based participatory research, narrative inquiry, Delphi technique where you use several people together. So there are several such methods where you can employ and I don't know how many of you are going to use this. There are several such techniques, but before getting into any of those things, what you have to do is decide what is your research based on, because ultimately it comes to some major ones where the slide will be where you may select one of them and the other just shown you can use as adjuncts, because quantitative research can be mixed of 2-3 methods together. It may not be like exact what you follow in quantitative techniques, where you have to use specific methodology and apply specific statistics. Here there are a lot of flexibility is there, but lot of subjectivity also be there. Just as sometimes report given, you feel this is not a true report. Police report sometimes I hear what you call Shomoga, so it's only media, it's not happening with us. Shomoga Ragi Buddha. The media is highlighted so much, but people from Shomoga said, sir, it's only the media, don't worry, we are fine. Because when I have to call, what is happening? No, it's only the media, we are fine. So that's what it can happen either way. Right? I think it's time and I take a little extra time. So thank you very much.